Hello again, and welcome to my new LP of Space Quest 4, Roger Wilco and the Time Rippers. Well, let me talk a little about the game before we start. Well, Space Quest 4, well, was a major milestone in the series, again, because while Space Quest 3 was a significant leap forwards, Space Quest 4 went way beyond that even, because by this point Sierra had switched to the new version of the SCI, and thus from now on all their games were in 256 color VGA, which is the significant change, supported the latest in MIDI music, and had digital sound effects and full speech for their CD-ROM versions, because SQ4 was also one of the very first Sierra games to be released completely on CD-ROM with full speech everywhere. Although, admittedly, they didn't get any big names in voice talent. They simply had some random Sierra engineers get into a recording booth for a day or so, record the lines, and voila. With one notable exception, as we'll come to see when we get to play the game. But story-wise as well, I said Space Quest 3 was a major leap forward in plot, but that may have been a bit of an exaggeration, because as we saw, Space Quest 3, well, didn't have a whole lot of exposition, just suddenly, oh, the two guys have been captured, go rescue them. But Space Quest 4 is way more story-intensive, and may well be the most epic Space Quest of them all. And though that word gets tossed around way too much nowadays, especially for me, in this case, it's definitely true. But enough chatter, let's jump right in. Right from the start, you know you're in for something very special. Because if you've only played the first 3 Space Quests before, this is sure to blow you away. The music here references Battlestar Galactica, the original version, not the remake, because obviously that wasn't out yet by the time the game was released.
We rejoin our friend and semi-hero Roger Wilco as he rockets back toward his home planet Xenon, which he hasn't seen since Space Quest 2. Having successfully rescued those 2 ingrates from Andromeda, he decides a pit stop on Magmetheus is in order.
And that right there is Gary Owens as the narrator. Most definitely one of the best parts of the whole game.
During the descent to this cosmic canteen, he is unaware of the interest that has been generated regarding his fate.
Tension.
We have confirmation of his position, Master.
Off to Magmetheus with you then. It is time for Wilco to meet the fate which I have crafted for him.
As for who this mysterious villain is,
Begins, we find the aluminum mallard parked outside a seedy spaceport bar.
we'll soon find out. And this is also the last we ever see of the aluminum mallard, sadly. I always like that gag right there.
We join Roger as he relates one of his greatly exaggerated tales of adventure. The aliens are only too happy to listen, as long as Roger is by.
See, there was this deadly root monster, a ferocious swamp creature, and a Labion terror beast to contend with. Then I had to outsmart another of Vohaul's gorillas and...
Are you Roger Wilco?
Yeah.
Please come with me.
An interesting tidbit here is if you pull Roger's speech out of the game's resources, you'll find he goes on a lot longer before he's cut off, like here in the game. Anyway, guess who?
Roger Wilco. Surprised to see an old friend? You have no idea how special this moment is for me. This is no chance encounter, I can assure you. I have this one loose end to tie up before I begin my reign as the supreme being of all that exists. I do not like to lose. You are a blemish on what would otherwise be a perfect record of domination, terror, and invincibility. Besides, I'm still a bit miffed about that asteroid deal in Space Quest 2. Anyway, to relieve the pain of my humiliation and to prevent you from being a pain in my future, you must die. It's been nice seeing you one last time. Then, do the dirty deed.
Sludge Vohaul here is actually voiced by one of the two guys from Andromeda. I forgot who. I love how they are able to subdue them simply by leaping on top of them.
Mr. Wilco, follow me and do exactly as I say. Let's move!
Though of course that doesn't stop them for long.
Hey, I want to know what the...
Listen, I can't explain it all to you now. They've got a beat on our coordinates. We've got to move fast. We gotta do this fast. Shield your eyes! Jump into the time rift! Do it now! You've got to! If I take the time to explain, we're both parking lot pizza. You'll understand soon.
This image was actually on the cover of old PC magazine my dad used to be subscribed to once. Always scared the hell out of me as a kid, but it looks pretty neat actually. You may notice a slight change to the title all of a sudden, which will be addressed in a minute.
Now where am I? You wonder aloud to non-existent auditory organs? This place sure looks homey. Hey, wait, this looks just like Xenon. It is Xenon. It's really a pile. Along with the changes induced by an armed conflict, the city looks different, more modern, with a heavy dash of post-disaster seasoning. Casually glancing at the status line, you happen to notice that you're in Space Quest 12. What's happened? Who was that guy with the overdeveloped hairdryer? Why did you let yourself be talked into jumping into some strange shimmering hole? Why are you talking to yourself? These incredibly intriguing questions will quickly be forgotten with barely an electron stirred in that well-armored orb atop your shoulders.
So yeah, here we are, off on another adventure. I gotta say, Gary Owen's voice and the two guys writing is a match made in heaven. It's absolutely fantastic to listen to. Anyways, you may notice, starting from Space Quest 4, they also abandoned the good old parser interface in favor of a mouse-based interface. So, moving the mouse to the top, you get this little icon bar. From left to right we have walking, examining, manipulating, talking, and exclusives to Space Quest are smelling and tasting, which don't do anything useful but are generally just very funny. Here we have our inventory, but I'm carrying nothing but a few Buckazoids. This here is used to explain what every button does.
This icon is for tasting.
Yeah. So anyway, right from the start, let's save the game. Because, as we'll soon find, Xenon of the future is not as hospitable as it used to be.
A brightly colored mechanical hare wanders about.
The Energizer Bunny.
The hare, anticipating your clumsy attempt to catch it in the open barehanded, won't come anywhere near you.
Seems in the future they're a lot more intelligent than they once used to be. And they still keep going and going and going and going. Man, I really love this scene right here. Definitely one of the most atmospheric locations in all of Space Quest, or adventure gaming for that matter, because the bright red sky, the huge dome in the background, eerie music, destruction all around. It's really powerful. Of course, the flash of lightning every once in a while helps as well. So yeah, let's get going. Been doing nothing but talking and looking so far.
A quick inspection reveals nothing of interest, other than a glove box.
Luke Skywalker's land speeder from Star Wars. Anyway, let's check out the glove box.
It looks like a genuine Pocket Pal portable terminal. After taking a quick look around to reassure yourself that the place is as dead as it looks, you snitch the Pocket Pal laptop.
Cool. Never know when any laptop might come in handy.
This is just a dumb terminal. It won't do anything by itself.
But yeah, we'll need to find the right place to use it first. Now you may notice the music right now is set to ad-lib instead of general MIDI because, well, again, I did a recording for this Let's Play earlier, but then I had the music set to MIDI, and I found out after recording that DOSBox apparently doesn't record MIDI music when it's recording video. Rather annoying how that sort of thing keeps happening to me. Anyways, we better get to hiding, because every once in a while, if we stand around for too long, a killer robot will appear, and if we're standing in plain sight, it will try to shoot us. Though I'm not sure if he'll appear while I'm hiding. Well, we'll take our chances. Let's just move on to the next area before he arrives. Yeah, and that's also one of the main reasons Space Quest 4 was actually one of the last Space Quest games I ever finished, despite being one of the first I owned. Because we got the game back in somewhere in the mid-90s for Christmas. And, well, back then I was still in my childhood, deathly terrified of anything Sierra-related phase. But as I overcame my trauma later, for the most part, well, I tried playing Space Quest 4 on a modern system, and I found, well, the game's programming didn't allow for it to run properly on modern systems, because some scenes just go by much, much too fast. For instance, that killer robot I mentioned, he'll appear almost immediately as soon as you move to another screen, therefore you have absolutely no time to do anything, and he'll just immediately shoot you. But thankfully, DOSBox mitigates the problem somewhat, but a permanent solution to that was found in the form of special fan-made patches created by a dedicated fan called New Rising Sun, who created timer patches such as those for several Sierra games, including Space Quest 4, because sadly Space Quest 4 was not the only game to be plagued by these issues. Anyway, let's actually do something. Find here a destroyed tank with inside.
Surprisingly, no one has taken this small, innocuous-looking piece of unstable ordnance.
Well, we might as well be the first.
Okay, you now have the unstable ordnance. Remember, it was your idea. Good luck.
So we'll find picking up the unstable ordnance is actually a bad idea, but we'll go along with it for now. Anyway, just in case, I'll save the game again. Let's have some fun with the smelling and tasting.
It smells exactly like the hull of a useless, burnt-out battle vehicle.
Wow, I'd never have guessed.
It needs salt.
Yeah, that's just a generic response when there's no specific message attached to a certain object. Got several of these, such as...
It needs salt.
Well, yeah, we just heard that one.
It needs salt. It needs salt.
Well, apparently he simply repeats that one over and over. Like I said, it's one of many generic messages you get when there's no specific message.
The taste of devastation is everywhere.
Oh, right, coming from the bottom there is a rather nasty character we might want to avoid.
It's very pleasant looking.
I was looking at him.
You don't need to look at that.
Huh?
You can't do that.
Well, yeah.
He seems to be unaware of your existence, as though he is controlled by some other consciousness.
I should be able to look at him.
This is the only form of actual life that you've seen here. Its clothes are tattered, and a grotesque metal contraption is clamped to its head, which serves to hold the eyelids permanently open. The pavement has lost that wonderful wet tar smell you loved so much as a kid.
I was trying to smell him.
Being downwind of the cyborg, you are very aware that it smells like a slice of luncheon meat that's been walking around in the sun too long.
Ew.
Not with your tongue.
It's worth a try. Anyway, as I was saying, we don't want to get too close to him, because otherwise we'll get this... nightmare fuel for sure. That right there is the droid of death I mentioned. The zombie scream alarmed it to my presence.
We're glad you could play Space Quest 4. As usual, you've been a real fatload.
The death comments sound that much more snarky thanks to Gary's voice. But yeah, we definitely want to avoid those two at all costs. Oh, there he comes again. But this time we won't let him catch us. Ominous.
The large structure in the background captures your curiosity. Keep your hands to yourself.
Yeah, generic. No manipulating message.
It smells like trouble. What's going on in there?
That must be a pretty strong whiff considering how far away we must be.
Nobody can reach that building from here with their tongue unless they're in a Leisure Suit Larry game.
Larry, good memories.
The clearing ends here. Jagged chunks of debris clog the north.
And we can't climb over it either.
The rubble is rough and jagged. No sense in risking injury this early in the adventure. We'll get to that later.
Anyway, what we're supposed to be doing right now, there's still one more item we need to collect before we can move on. Ooh.
It smells just as good as it looks.
How does it look?
What looks like fluid is actually a mixture of toxic atmospheric solids.
Okay. So it smells like whatever it was that he just said. I forgot already.
It tastes just as good as it smells.
Well, very descriptive. Anyway, we need that piece of rope over here.
You take the small, frayed, useless-looking length of rope.
I think we've been lingering around long enough for the droid to appear soon, so I'm gonna save again. Oh, shit, here he comes. Get a few more points for hiding while he's here.
Droid Odette.
But he leaves soon enough again. It's definitely a tense moment whenever he appears, thanks to the music.
Wild berry.
Yeah, this is actually the very first game where Roger himself gets some dialogue, although most of the time it's just the narrator doing the talking. Roger gets a little more talkative from here on out, especially in the next 2 games. Anyways, I put her on the rope right just now, as you can see, to try and catch that rabbit. Oh crap, I was too late.
Those sure are some finely honed reactions you've got there. Perhaps you're still suffering from time lag.
Oh, shut up, Gary. Why don't you try it? You disembodied voice from the heavens, you. Any second now. BAM!
That was without a doubt one of the finest examples of bunny snatching I've ever seen. The stress placed on the rope during the bunny snatching was too much. You cast the useless fibers aside.
Anyway, you might be asking yourself, what good is a pink bunny? Well, he's got a battery inside of him.
You extract the portable power pellet from the back of the bunny's polyplastoid torso.
Gotta love alliteration.
You plug the mobile power cylinder into the laptop.
And that little doo-doo-doo noise you hear, well, that's whenever I score points by doing something productive. Oh crap, here it comes again. Anyway, as I was saying, there's no more indicator for the score on the regular screen. Instead, it's right here in the options. Not like it matters anyway. Okay, he's gone. So now I can move on up here.
A fluid-looking mass lying in the gutter is actually crystallized toxic runoff. It's probably the most nauseating thing to smell in the whole family of smells.
Ew.
It's definitely the most nauseating thing to taste in the whole non-liquid liquid family of tastes.
Okay. Anyway, there's 2 different ways to die on this very screen, and I'm gonna show both of them.
A large void indicates the absence of any dense matter.
Yeah, that's what voids usually do. Yeah, of course I'm gonna save first. Void.
Serious damage to important body parts pretty much screws up any future plans you might have had for living. Bummer.
Indeed.
Oh well, just think proudly of your accomplishment. On second thought, just think. It even happens to important people.
Well, we definitely want to go on living, so we'll not try that again. Although, now I'm gonna kill myself in a totally different way. Yeah. Painful.
I would think that something identifiable as unstable ordnance would be low on your list of fun and healthy things to carry. We hope you'll get yourself together and rejoin us. Isn't this a blast?
Oh, puns. They'll never go out of style. Actually, that reminds me of last week's Torchwood miniseries. Although, of course, Roger isn't blessed with the same regenerative abilities as Jack Harkness, sadly. Although, I haven't finished watching the whole series yet, so no spoilers, please. So yeah, we first need to put back that unstable ordnance before we can move on. Otherwise we'll just keep blowing up every time we try to go down that grading.
A very wise choice. Carefully placing the unstable ordnance back inside the tank, you decide some things are better left alone.
Alrighty then. Okay, let's try that again, this time without fatal consequences. Well.
You've reached the sewer maintenance office. Apparently this office has been long abandoned. Your janitorial instincts urge you to sweep up and do a little dusting, but you suppress those urges and concentrate on the task at hand.
Yeah. Seems like the best thing to do right now. Anyway.
It's an empty jar with a lid, neither of which does anything entertaining.
Well, let's see if we can make it do anything entertaining then.
You take the jar into custody.
You're mine now.
Ah, a button. Perhaps I'll give it a press.
Lengthy exposition coming up.
Data entry 22795. This message is to whomever may be so fortunate as to find it. I am Professor Lloyd, lead designer of the Xenon Supercomputer Project, the ultimate in artificial intelligence. The computer was designed to enhance our lives, but instead ended up being the ruin of us all. We made the mistake of tying it into the most important facets of our existence here on Xenon, including our weather control and defense systems. It seemed like a sound idea at the time, and all proceeded well for about 3 years.
Hey, what's the worst that could
It
happen?
was around then that a deep space salvage operation recovered what appeared to be some sort of antiquated data storage unit contained in a flimsy cardboard box, on which the words Leisure Suit Larry were imprinted. On its back was the picture of a not particularly wholesome gentleman, but that's another story. My counterparts exhibited shameful behavior as they tore open the box to get at its contents. I could not understand the commotion it generated.
Well,
They
Sierra was popular
uploaded it
once.
to the computer for analysis. As a result, a crippling virus spread through the machine like a bad social disease.
Ugh, I hate those.
The computer was lost. All screens went blank. Then these words were displayed by the monitors and uttered by the vocal outputs. Wilco must pay. From that day forth, the possessed computer waged war on the inhabitants of Xenon, using our own weapons against us. Some managed to escape to other planets. Those of us who remained stayed to fight the machines and robots under its control. It was a bloody war. Those of us that were not killed were taken captive and modified. These cyborgs infiltrated the loyal ranks of resistance, rooting out almost all of our hiding places and exposing us to the mechanical menace. Some of these poor souls still wander the streets. As of this recording, we are down to only a handful of rebels. My health is deteriorating rapidly. To make matters worse, I've just learned that the computer has unraveled the mysteries of time travel. I've sent my 2 best men to attempt to steal this new technology. If you are not a machine, then perhaps they were successful. Please realize, you are Xenon's last hope.
Oh, that's pretty heavy. Yeah, definite shades of Terminator here. So it's a lot darker story than any previous Space Quest games before. I mean, it's not life insurance salesmen and clones trying to take over the world, or the 2 guys being captured and forced to drone out mindless arcade games. This is serious stuff. Although, it's still pretty whimsical in grand Space Quest tradition. But anyways, we're done here, so let's move on. Although, what's the use of having an office in the sewers? No, well.
Oh no! The door has shut, and there's no way back. What are you going to do now?
Well, I'm going to explore the sewer for one. Though, of course, it's not particularly safe here, even with the absence of any real sewage.
Your nostrils flare as you inhale the fragrant aroma of cold steel with just a hint of sewage. The pipes have the tangy taste of 100% real steel. basted with slime and rusted to a delicate crunch.
Sounds tasty.
This rough area tastes strangely like blood. Oh, that is blood. You shredded your tongue. Your mother should have warned you about licking strange areas.
Genius. Ooh, that looks nasty. Definitely don't want that thing to get too close to us for too long. Otherwise...
You took a little too long. Now it's slime time.
Ooh, nasty.
As the green slime dissolves the flesh from your bones, you think, hey, this stuff consumes 47 times its weight in acid.
As last thoughts go, that's pretty interesting. Anyway, believe it or not, that stuff actually serves a purpose other than killing me. Provided I can get out of its way in time. Remember the jar I picked up? Well...
Okay.
Never know when a jar of acid might come in handy.
Scoop up the slimy secretion. Better get away now before it scoops you up.
Yeah, let's.
What were you expecting? Lime slime? You notice a burning sensation when you get a strong whiff.
Lime slime, that sounds
You taste
wholesome.
a tiny bit of the green slime. Instantly, several recent fillings dissolve into a puddle of silver amalgam.
Ooh, I hate it when that happens. Well, we've gotten all we need from the sewers, so let's move on. There's an exit not far from here.
You see some dripping, oozing stuff.
Not stuff!
It smells just like you thought it would.
And how did Roger think it would smell?
This rough area tastes strangely.
Yeah, I heard that one already. Oh well. It's of no consequence. And here's the exit I mentioned. Take your time, Raj. But we'll find we're not alone on the streets anymore. Ominous music. Well, let's go. But let's not stick around for too long, because those guys are going to be appearing any second now and shoot me. And we don't want that to happen. No siree. Ooh, a ship. Looks sporty.
You look at the finely sculpted ship. It looks to have been designed for atmospheric operation, probably used solely for patrol excursions. This is a landing gear assembly. It currently supports the ship. This is where those militia types enter and exit the shuttle.
Well, let's hijack the thing. We had no problem flying a shuttle 2 games ago.
The young shuttle pilot, his seat suddenly humidified by your surprise entry, fires his pulse ray.
Oh boy.
The shot just misses you and then bounces off the reflective surfaces of the cabin, eventually managing to fatally perforate you. Just as you fade from the living organism club, you think, in amazement, so that's what my spleen looks like.
Always wanted to know that.
Just as you fade from the living organism club, you think in amazement, so that's what my spleen looks like.
Is there an echo in here? Is there an echo in here? So yeah, going in that way leads to instant death. So instead, we're gonna have to hitch a ride some other way.
This seems to be a relatively spacious landing gear compartment. Wonder how cramped it gets in there when the gear is stowed.
Well, let's find out.
This seems to be a relatively spacious landing gear compartment. Wonder how cramped it gets in there when the gear is stowed.
Well, the noise indicates I did something right, so off we go. Right to the very heart of the matter. Right. We definitely don't want to get caught by anyone while we're here, though. Fortress. So, now that we're up here, the first thing I'm gonna do is go back down again.
Watch out for that first step.
I'm sorry, you were saying?
That was a long first step.
That it was. My first and last step at that.
This is the patrol shuttle you hitched a ride on. It doesn't smell great, but it smells better than you.
That's comforting.
Nah, you'd rather not. You never know where it's been.
Good point. Well, moving to the right is fatal because there happens to be a guard right there who'll shoot me on sight. So instead I have to move this way. Ooh, gotta have one of those.
I've just completed a scan of the Labion sector of Space Quest 2. No sign of presence at this time. Grrrr, schluff, grrrr, grrrr.
No idea what they're saying. Anyway, better not stick around for too long. So let's jump right in. Gotta love how liberally the fourth wall gets broken throughout this game. So, now we've got our own personal time machine. First thing I'm doing while I'm in here is getting some pen and paper and writing down that code right there, because we'll obviously need to be coming back here later. Let's see. Alright. Now, while we're in here, let's have a look-see.
You look out at the city you were born in decades ago. You're sure glad you weren't there when this devastation happened. You might have gotten hurt. On the bright side, you won't have to pay those delinquent traffic tickets.
Small comfort. Well, who cares about the destruction of your entire civilization? You don't have to pay those traffic tickets.
That button opens the canopy.
Yeah, we'll definitely want to keep that closed for now.
Those are unshielded quark power cables. No telling what they're doing to your DNA's genetic structures right now.
I doubt I'd want to know.
You don't want to touch those. You might mutate your fingers.
So yeah, let's not do that.
A standard time pod headrest. Not very comfortable, but the regular operators have metal heads, so it's not a concern for them. It's a large compartment that's probably full of instruction manuals, code books, time maps, and the like. Too bad it's also locked.
Well, we don't need no stinking maps or anything like that. Let's just enter a random code. Yes, that is exactly what they're expecting me to do.
The powerful quad quark drives Rev to life. Time and space bend under the fibrillations of the time-rip transfluxers. Your adrenaline and stomach reel with the hyperbolic hyperbole. And finally, nothing much happened. That must not have been a valid code. Try again.
It's brilliant how the music just suddenly breaks down after all that build-up. But yeah, type in a second random code.
The powerful quad quark drives Rev to life. Time and space bend under the fibrillations of the time-rip transfluxers. Your adrenaline and stomach reel with the hyperbolic hyperbole. And finally,
woohoo! Off into the time vortex we go. Allons-y. And it seems we have landed in Space Quest 10. Well, now that we're here, let's quickly save the game. Because I want to show you guys a neat little Easter egg. If you type in symbols from the top row, left, right, and then this one.
The powerful quad quark drives Rev to life. Time and space bend under the fibrillations of the time-rip transfluxers. Your adrenaline and stomach reel with the hyperbolic hyperbole. And finally,
been waiting the whole series to make a Doctor Who reference. Although I did get off another Allons-y during SQ3. Anyway, look familiar, doesn't it?
this view provides a flashback to a recent adventure. It looks real hot out there. Hot enough for thermo-weave underwear.
So we definitely don't want to go out there, but I'll do it anyway! Because I'm masochistic like that.
This is Roger. This is Roger on Ortega. Any questions?
Yeah, what kind of drugs are you on right now? I'm sorry, I just had to throw in a nostalgia critic quote there. Well, now that we're here, I'd say it's about time I wrapped up this session, so thank you all for watching, and join me next time as I explore the surface of the planet Estros, and maybe even meet the famed latex babes. So, I'm Amayirot Akago. Once again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next time. I'll just let the two guys themselves give the closing words.
See ya on the Chrono Stream, time jockey.